Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of SOV Vigilantes. We are your hosts.
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
Chris
we are.
Seaver,
I'm Clint Kelly.
And I'm Andrew Baltus. Hello.
and I wanted to do this show just to talk about the love of shot-on-video horror films from the 80s and 90s, and who better to talk these films with than probably, as far as the friends group are concerned, the two most sort of in love with that style, that genre of film, um, 100%. You know what I mean?
Fellow purveyors of garbage. If you
Yo,
will.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've also created garbage. So yeah.
Yes,
I know
indeed.
you guys are planning on talking about The Curly Killer being your favorite shot on video film.
Yeah. We still got to get that. We got to put that on one of the Blu-rays.
It's a gem.
As one of the extras.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's shot on video is been something that's been in my life since that early age. Like probably 6th, 7th grade was the first time I saw one, and I was just totally enamored with it because I knew something was a little off about it. Like renting it at the video store, I'm like, this box art looks insane. Let's rent this. And then watching it and just being like, what is this? Like, why does this look weird? And I didn't quite understand it at that age. But yeah, like, and going on and making my own films, in grade school and high school with the family camcorder, really.
Well, that's what this. So the show in general, because we're sort of the three of us, and I would say, I guess, our buddy Sean,
Yeah.
Sean Jordan, or Shawnee Ramone, or VHSPS for you folks out there. He probably will pop on from time to time because he could get down with us on this subject. But really, it's you two that I knew. We'd have a lot to talk about, and there's many films in the category, and there's many directors that we all sort of love. And then again, like you said, Andrew, we're all sort of we make this shit,
Right.
and we've all sort of been a part of it for a long time. So
I'm just waiting for the video where Shawnee pops up in all of our screens at the same time with a pizza.
Like in the Weirdsies.
Like, I don't know how he would pull it off.
He's actually coming next week.
Is he?
Yeah, he's coming Thursday to Sunday next week, just to watch movies.
Yeah. I wish I could join.
I actually looked at prices for the thing, but it's like $635.
Yeah, like I don't understand the flights. It's like they range, they'll be like 200 one week and then 600 the next, and there's like nothing going on. So I don't. Yeah. I'll never understand it. Are flights cheap for you to get to Florida?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's like $90.
Yeah. When I was in Indiana, they had like a deal with Orlando, so you could fly down there for around $100.
They want they want everyone to come here, so they're not going to make tickets expensive.
That's smart, but they're not cheap for me. For some reason, Kansas City does not like Florida. So,
right.
Yeah.
So that's SOV Vigilantes. This show is really just going to talk about our love of shot on video horror. I think I could probably, thanks to our friendships with a lot of these directors, I could probably drag some of these guys on as well, talk with us at some point. But yeah, this episode specifically, I just wanted to sort of introduce folks to our sort of histories with SOV and what we like about the films, you know, what draws us to these things, because let's face it, shot on video is, I mean, it's a acquired fucking taste.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
Definitely.
as we all know, too harshly at times, we know that these films are not considered movies. These, you know, these things to a large portion of a general sort of social audience, they would look at this stuff and give it like 3 minutes and say, "Turn this fucking garbage off." You know,
yeah.
Right.
I mean,
um,
you can always tell the reviews when it's like the worst movie I've ever seen. Yeah, no, it's not, but still,
um, you know, it is not aesthetically pleasing to the
no,
normies. You know,
no.
so this stuff definitely is an acquired taste, and you got to have a certain something, a certain je ne sais quoi, um, to enjoy this stuff.
Yeah,
You got to
Um,
believe in the magic, you know? It's like you really do. I mean, it was just the magic of not having millions of dollars to do your own thing,
hmm
we're all special. We all know what it was like to have a camcorder when we were kids and make little goofy stuff, and to see people turn that into a feature length movie with, you know, janky effects and everything, but like fun. You can tell they're going out, they're having fun, they're serious about it. It's, you know, it is movie magic. It's a different kind of movie magic, but it's the movie magic nonetheless. You know.
100%.
yeah. Agreed.
Um, so let's go through and talk about our initial experience with SOV, like when it first sort of hit us, and the impact it has had on us. So why don't we start with Andrew?
Okay. I was trying to think about it in the first one that I saw around the same time, around like fifth, sixth grade. I don't know which one I saw first, but I have two that always stuck out to me. And one was Blood Cult, and the other was Cannibal Campout. And I had no idea which one I saw first. And obviously, Blood Cult is a little slower. It's, you know, watching it now, it doesn't do it for me. Watching it then, I was just like, what? Why does this look different? Why it didn't look the same as Hollywood movies. But Cannibal Campout was the one that really did it for me. Watching that at first was just like, it's so over the top and so gory, and it's just silly. But that one, just the cover art, everything about it appealed to me at that age of like, 11, 12-year-old Andrew. Just thought that was the greatest thing ever. But then it appealed to me because I'm like, I could do this. Like, I think I could sit and make this movie with this stupid gore and ridiculous characters. And, that was what got me. I think what had to have been Cannibal Campout.
Did you now you rented these?
Yeah. So our local video store, it was shopping plaza, like a half a mile from my mom's house. And I would walk there, and they would let me rent whatever I wanted. They didn't care, Blockbuster had like the policy where you had to be a certain age to rent R-rated or whatever. This video store did not care. They're like, do you have money? Okay, you can rent it. You have an account. So I would just shell out money after money to get the dumbest movies. And that was definitely one of the dumbest movies I rented. But yeah, it was very close to home. So I did it as like every weekend, rent at least like, 3 or 4 movies every weekend. So Friday, Saturday nights, sit around and watch schlocky shot on video stuff. What about you, Clint?
Yeah, mine was a little bit later. I wasn't in middle. It was probably 9th grade. So, I was a skater kid growing up. My grandmother gave me a Hi8 camera, and we'd film skateboarding stuff. And then I would film stuff with my cousins and friends that are like horror. They're shorts. They were just like scenes of like me cutting off. It was a melon, like cutting off a head and then smashing it, stuff, or dressing up like a stuffing hoodies filled with like trash bags so they look like people and then like throwing them off of stuff. So like from there, I was really getting into like DIY stuff. I used to frequent like a horror movie message board and like back when during that time. So I was asking like questions about DIY filmmaking. Someone mentioned like, have you ever heard of Blood Cult? It was like they were saying the first ever shot on video horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have two different blockbusters. The one closest to me had a very small selection, and I used to go there and rent stuff all the time. They never had any SOV stuff, so I like watched everything in their horror section. So then I went to the blockbuster further away, and they had Blood Cult. So I actually remember watching Blood Cult, renting it, and right, something about it. The first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." Then they also had Video Violence.
Yeah.
So I saw Video Violence was like on a list of these like shot on video movies. So I checked out Video Violence, and that was like right up my alley of like going to a video store and renting horror movies. Like that was like my first shot on video movie that I really like clicked with. Like, oh, I really like this. Like they really did like a cool job.
Oh, yeah, that's on my list of favorites too.
Yeah. So I like from then I just was hooked. Like I just loved watching like shot on video. Like I just started collecting, and like, oh man, I've never seen this one. I got to watch this one. People would talk about stuff. Oh, I got to watch that one. So it just became a thing. Like they were harder to find, definitely. Like Video Violence and Blood Cult were kind of like bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They were easier to find stuff. But then like trying to find the other stuff was a task, and I've always liked to like go on the hunt for stuff. So like I'd find like a video store, and then I'd ask like my grandmother, because I couldn't drive until I was 18. I didn't get my license until I was 18, so we'd like drive to different places and try to find stuff. I remember I used to call like the video store and be like, "Do you have Splatter Farm in stock?" So yeah, that was kind of my thing. It wasn't until like high school when I was like really learning how to like shoot stuff and like looking into like filming. And I've always been like a horror fan. It's always been like studio movies or indie horror, never like shot on video until I like got into making my own stuff.
Yeah. Now, Clint, do you still have any of those old shorts that you shot?
I don't think so. I think I still have some of the high 8 tapes that they're on, but I've never digitized them. I just need to. I have to look. Maybe I did find a bunch of old mini DV tapes the other day in a box, but I'd have to look for the high 8 tapes.
Oof. Yeah, if you had those, I would love to see young Clint.
Yeah. So I found something I shot on mini DV recently of like me and my cousin like playing a basketball game, and like he was like really short, like 4 foot tall. He slammed dunks on me, and then I think I like put him on the ground and carve his head, and it's just a melon. Everything back in the day was just a melon, And I used to have this My Buddy doll. And I remember cutting its hair and like gluing the hair to the melon. So like in a close-up shot, if you saw the knife go in, I mean, it was crappy high 8 or whatever,
Yeah.
So it looked good, but my mom was really upset because she had more sentimental value for this My Buddy doll than I did. I was like,
than you did.
Make gory horror stuff.
Yeah, I have 2 of my old movies that I would love to find. Obviously, you've seen Curly Killer, right?
Yeah.
I know Chris has, but now I had a movie I did called Death by Clowns, because I just had a bunch of clown masks that I bought at a Halloween store, and then I have I know I have it somewhere. I have to dig for it, but a movie I made called Fingers of Death, but it was just clips of murders,
Right.
It was like, like Faces of Death, but it was Fingers of Death.
Yeah.
I know I have that on VHS somewhere, and if I can find that, I'll share it with you guys. It's pretty hilarious. But what about you, Chris?
Well, I mean, for you chuckleheads, you guys know, but for an audience, you might not know. I was making backyard turds since 1984. You know, shooting on our family's video camera. Just silly, ridiculous stuff. Um, I knew I wanted to make movies, and so I uh, didn't think twice about quality or talent or anything. I just picked up that camera and just went and did it. Um, and much to the chagrin of most people, I'm still doing it. But so, I was just making backyard movies, always horror, but never serious because of who I am and who my family were and the stuff that I was sort of being thrust, pushed upon, like the comedy, the weird comedy, and I was watching horror movies, and like Andrew says, it was a different fucking time. Like nobody gave a shit about what we were renting at video stores. You know, our me and most of my family were theater people, so we were constantly going to the movies, seeing a lot of shit. I was just a movie kid. And so the video store was like an extra special, amazing place to be. And so Video Connection was this joint in Wellsville, New York that I was constantly at. So much so that they knew me. They would always let me shoot there. They always gave me first reserve because back in the day you could there were sheets and you could reserve the films before they came out, so you were the first one to get it. Um, and I say that it was Toxic Avenger and Bad Taste that sort of um, really opened my eyes to exactly the type of film that I wanted to make going forward.
Yeah.
And that was a double feature rent in 1989 for me. And
That's a perfect double feature.
oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
especially for somebody like me,
Yeah.
I mean, it truly was like this is my path.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
You didn't know what
this
your life was missing until then.
this
Right.
type of mixing of these genres.
Yeah.
And I had seen Evil Dead 2, and like Night of the Creeps and shit like that, renting all of that stuff. But this was different,
Right.
and you guys know these two movies are way different, and
Yeah.
and right outside the sort of aesthetic of a camcorder, because they were shot gritty, ugly film,
Right.
very low budget. So I'm 12 years old at the time, and Video Connection was so. I mean, you guys, you're the pals that I wish I had back in the day. You would have appreciated the way I appreciated this place.
Yeah.
It was, it's so hard to describe, but and to wonder why they carried the films that they did, being
Yeah.
such a small town that Wellsville is. And so for me, it was 1989. It was like the tail end, maybe December, maybe right January going into 90. But um, I rented. They had Redneck Zombies,
Oh yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
the Trans World. It was the original Trans World VHS of Redneck Zombies. And 100% because of the cover. What the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah.
this is great. Yes, this seems like it's right up there, with my sensibilities.
Yeah.
Much to my shock and pleasure, after putting that thing in and seeing that, holy shit, this is a VCR movie. This is a VHS film.
Yeah.
What it was blowing my mind, and being a Fangoria kid, I don't know 100% if maybe subconsciously I did see ads for shit like this,
Mhm.
in the back of Fango and stuff like that. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But
Yeah.
Redneck Zombies solidified like the sort of lust and yearning and surprise and excitement that happened after that. You know what I mean? It was just like it was the catalyst to find more movies like this
Yeah.
because exactly what you guys said. Like I, I saw this movie and I was like, I can make this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
This is possible. Like, how does this happen? This doesn't make any sense to me. You know
And
what I
it's
mean?
and like you're renting it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like you're
that's the thing.
spending the money. It's
It was
there.
like, how did it get here?
Right.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
Right.
who are these filmmakers?
Yeah.
Like, um,
Yeah, Redneck
so
Zombies was an early one for me too. That was the same video store had that, and I remember seeing that too and just being blown away by it because it's
so
so ridiculous.
yeah, so really, Redneck Zombies is it pushed it, and
Yeah.
then just through investigation, I remember. So uh, we had the people who ran Video Connection were a family, and the bottom half of this building was Video Connection, and the upper half was their house, was their So
Mhm.
it was a family. It was like maybe 18-year-old kids who would help run the business,
Yeah.
and then the parents. But the parents were almost cooler than the 18-year-old kids who were there, and they were privy to a lot of shit. So I just remember being like, "What is this? Like, this is
Yeah.
like a home movie." And the owner, who was a very gregarious and uh, Jabba like jovial man, and he was like, "We've got a ton of these, Chris. Like you here," and he would take me over there, and he showed me, and that's where fucking video violence and covers that I knew, but had no idea that they were shot on video.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I remember him showing me The Ripper.
Oh, the
You
Ripper.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ripper's a fucking terrible movie,
It is terrible.
but to see Tom Savini on the front, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, this is my man, and boy, the movie's a stinker, but
How did they convince him to do that?
I don't
I
know, but
don't.
Well, he's in it for like a minute.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
but I mean, that's it. Those are his
Yeah.
eyes, man.
Yeah.
That cover is his eyes.
Yeah.
But so that I couldn't believe that amongst all the other horror that I was getting, there were several shot on video movies at Video Connection. And that, I mean, it really was like just a huge inspiration and boost for me. And it sent me on a path of like trying to look up these people the best way I could, which was through magazines,
Yeah.
or mail order and shit like that. It helped. The Video Connection helped me be able to get things. They would let me look at the catalogs, and I would say, "Oh, are you guys gonna get this?" Because like I will get this if you get this and shit like that. So, you know, um, it was awesome. It was
Did they tell you if anybody else ever rented the same movies, or were
no,
you
they
like the only kid?
no, they didn't. But I mean, I think because it got to a point where like they would call the house, and they would say, "Can you tell Chris that we have this in?" And is he interested? Because I'll save it.
Yeah.
And then they would relay like, "Oh, he's stupid," and my fucking grandma would be like, "Yeah, there's this dumb movie," whatever. And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was so cool. It was a small town. It was
Yeah.
everybody knew everybody, but I was that kid.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Well, like you guys, you're in the doc. You've seen the doc, but like, no, I was that kid. I was the horror kid. There was nobody like me in that
Yeah.
town. And that group, that first group of friends that I had, they were just people that I pushed this shit on. You know,
Yeah.
some of them kind of dug it, and some of them did not.
Yeah.
They were
That,
just
that was like
humor.
my friend group, It's like I just made them watch these movies. I was like, come over, I'll show you whatever. I remember showing one of my, it's not shot on video, but I remember showing like my buddy's Blood Diner. And I was so excited to show them. I was like, this movie rules. And they were like,
Yeah.
what?
And they just were like,
Yeah,
what
they're like, what are you showing us? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, you love it, right?
They would have hated that. I don't think I showed them any SOV because I knew straight up they would have not liked.
Yeah.
I definitely, that first group of friends that that turned into low budget pictures. They I think they ended up liking it based on my enthusiasm, and then
Yeah.
certainly pulling them all into the movies. I think they appreciated it more that like, hey, if these guys can do it, we can do it, and maybe this could be something. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's what I'm hoping happens with you and Demon Wind one of these days. Like my enthusiasm for it is going to make you love it.
Hey,
Oh man, I've seen that
not,
thing
right?
probably 6 times, and it's
Yeah.
funny though because I think about Demon Wind often,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I think about it like as in like, why? What is it about this movie that like repulses me so much? Because
Yeah,
it has
I don't
so many
understand.
ingredients that I
Yeah.
find amusing. You know what I mean?
It's just such a collage of dumb shit all in one movie, and I'm like, Chris is gonna love this.
Yeah.
And then we showed it to you, and you hated it, and I'm like, how? Like this has everything that you would. I don't know. I've never understood that because it's dreadful, but it's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Every single time we watch it, I just am like, God damn, this movie sucks. It's terrible.
and we haven't watched it in a long time.
Well, because I'm,
Yeah,
maybe I'm afraid of actually finally liking it.
you fear your love of Demon Wind. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, boy, I like shit, but
Yeah.
there's something about
Well,
that.
we've watched some stuff together where we've both collectively said absolutely no and shut it off. I mean, there usually is no bottom to the barrel for me with movies, but there is actually. What was the one we watched? Was it Fuck the Devil?
Oh yeah, you told me about that. You said you bought that one.
I bought it and we tried, and I wanted to like it. It just, we shut that one off. That wasn't for me. I don't know what it was. It was, we both were just bored.
Yeah. I mean, it was nonsensical. I mean, it was really like,
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. But I also think that was like the end of a movie marathon. Like it was like the tail end of the night, and that was not the right time for that. Like that should have been earlier, and maybe we could have made it. But I don't know. We watched, was it Slaughter Day?
Yeah.
That same. I loved that. I had fun with that one.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but boy, did I appreciate it.
Yeah, like I had fun watching that one with you, but yeah. And I think shot on video is the most fun when you're with other people watching them. Like,
absolutely.
I'll still watch them by myself, but it's watching them with you guys, like sitting in a room full of people yelling and screaming and laughing at everything. That makes it just so much better for me.
And it's great if you have a couple people that don't like it, so you got like, me, you and Chris watching, and then you've got like a Meredith or a Josh, someone that doesn't, they're just like, what is this?
What the fuck is this? Yeah.
That's the best.
I love that.
Stinky Beach.
Yeah, Stinky Beach.
Oh yeah, Stinky Beach.
Yeah, so let's sort of, okay, we talked about the beginnings. Let's talk about why are we drawn to these films? What is it about shot on video that and we may have, I'm sure we already touched upon a little of the why, but I don't know. Let's go around and what is it? We might be talking about the same shit
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love the sense of I could do this, like watching it and going, "Oh my god, I could literally go out and do this right now," and that just makes it a little more charming. Like watching that, and knowing somebody was going around with a camcorder filming it themselves, it just makes it more appealing, makes it more genuine.
Mhm.
And also the gore doesn't hurt. Like I don't like shot on video movies that don't have gore, because to me that's like, what's the point? Like, and ones that are too serious I don't like. I like the ones that obviously don't take themselves too serious. They're having fun in shooting it. That for me makes it far more enjoyable. So I love the love that they put into the movies. You can tell they're actually enjoying what they're doing. So that for me is the appeal.
Yeah, they had to stand out too, you know. They had to be they went in knowing we're going to be at a disadvantage because our movie looks like garbage, you know.
Sure.
So they made up for it by making these fantastical, crazy, you know, they had to add in the gore and the effects and as a gore hound, that's someone that loves effects, and I used to pause in movies and like study Savini effects, you know.
Yeah.
Like I just loved effects. Like when I saw like a fake head and like when I would pause, it would bring me so much joy to see like Tom Savini's head in Maniac, just like surprise. Like it looked fake, but I loved that. Like
Yeah.
I loved just to watch like the like to say it again, the magic of it like come to fruition, how they did it.
Yeah.
And you're right, like a lot of these movies did have to have gore to make it stand out, and I've always liked that. There is one movie, and like I have a small stack right here that is completely different SOV than any of the other movies, where it has virtually like no gore. It's like a weird, almost like a drama, somewhat, but it's like a really cool way that they made it, and it just so happens that it's shot on video, and it was like, man, this could have been a movie that was shot on film, and I still would have liked it, but they shot it on video, and it was cool. Like, but yeah, exactly the same reasons, you know. They, you're right, they do amp it up. They have to put in like effects in order to make it stand out, and that's what I've always was drawn to. I just like I like things that go beyond like normal, you know, like I was just talking to Chris before you came on about Godzilla X Kong, like just being ridiculous, over the top. Like that's why I gravitate to absurd comedy too. Like it's just something about standing out.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, I definitely, I think my and this was like this from the get go of discovering shot on video. I prefer something that's a little more wacky and tongue in cheek, and they they're in on the joke and they know what they're doing, as opposed to some of the SOV that really does take itself a little too seriously, and they're trying to really tell a compelling story, but
Yeah.
you know the writing is always terrible, the acting is
Mhm.
always terrible. You know, nobody, a lot of these guys just didn't know what they were doing. You know, so there's like SOV is like it's a culprit of, you know, they're culprits of having 20-minute long scenes of nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of padding. There's driving. There's just people talking in houses. You know, there's not a lot going on. And then a random edit that's weird, and then there's like shitty gore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I prefer the stuff that's a little more in your face and move it along type of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you know, I don't want to, like I'm not the biggest fan of like 555, you know, that type of shit.
Yeah.
And
No
I know,
Sledgehammer for you.
yeah, I know Clint loves Sledgehammer.
I love
We'll talk
Sledgehammer
about
too.
that. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that. There's things in Sledgehammer I appreciate, but man, you boy, you gotta go to sleep.
Yeah, I don't fault anybody for not liking it. You know, I
snooze fest. But one thing that I've always sort of appreciated, even at 12 years old, was that, hey man, they did it, you know.
right,
And so I've always given SOV a little more slack than mainstream, because they have no excuse.
right,
Mm.
yeah,
Uh, they have all the resources in the world, and these guys just picked up a camera and wanted to tell a story the best way that they could, whether it's bad, whether it's good. You know, wanting to do that myself and half-ass doing it already, I just appreciated that, and I could relate to it.
right,
And thinking about the future, and if my movies were ever going to get seen by other people, I would think like, boy, people are going to have their opinions, and people are going to comment, and people are going to say like, this is shitty, this is terrible, um, and sort of just and still do it and not give up, and just this is what you want to do, so you do whatever you can to get your story across. That appeals to me greatly about shot on video. It's a warrior's mentality.
yeah. It's admirable. It's so admirable.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said any of your movies are shitty, Chris? Have you ever gotten
Me?
ever gotten a bad review? I can't.
Oh man.
I mean, Quest for the Egg Salad won an Oscar.
Oof.
The one thing I can say about our movies, though, is that I 100% fully agree to the term critic proof for our films, and that's only because we know exactly what we're making.
Right.
We're not trying to fool an audience, and some of these guys, they're trying to do something else other than what's on the surface with these films.
Yeah.
And, and it can come off as pretty rough, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the game nowadays, certainly, where their attitude and their egos are a little bit unwarranted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas, a Chris Seaver movie is a Chris Seaver movie, and there's no apologies about
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and it's sort of like oh man, you thought it sucked? I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought you really dug it? You got that brain for it, like
Right.
it's 50-50.
It's when somebody said they love Stonky Beach. It's like immediately this is a kindred. I love this person. If you love Stonky Beach, you're my kind of person, kind of human.
Yeah.
And they're a rare breed out there.
They are, but all fives of us.
Yep.
4s and 5s.
So yeah, that, and Andrew said it earlier. It's the charm. It's very charming. It's just like, how endearing is this? This fucking group of people who just did it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love that about them, good or bad. Luckily, there's some fucking great shot on video movies out there.
Yeah.
Truly inspirational, and I'm sure we'll talk about many of them.
Oh yes.
So.
Should we go through and talk about some of the ones that we like?
Yeah. What? Let's do it.
I hate them. I kind of went ahead and made a list of some of my favorites. So I was just kind of brainstorming, and we've actually kind of touched on most of them. Video Violence for me is a lot of fun because it's got that video store. It's
right, yeah.
Everything about that one really, really hit home. Redneck Zombies was on my list. Sledgehammer was also on the list. I like Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
That's a favorite of mine. I was trying to remember if this was a shot on video movie, but The Night Brings Charlie.
I think it's 16 millimeters.
Was it 16 or was it shot on? I couldn't remember. It popped into my head and I was like, I'm going to bring that one out. And busted out.
It might be 16. And you know what? Like, I have a lot of movies that I consider sort of like in that vein, the shot on video or direct to video, that are 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
They sort of, I lump them in there.
Yeah. Like, I put Haunted Ween in that category because I know it's not shot on video, but it's like, it has that feel. It has a lot of that same charm to it. And I absolutely love that movie. I was trying to think of one of my favorites and I pulled it out, and I don't think this is going to be on either of your list of favorites.
Okay.
But it's a Polonia Brothers movie, of course. You guys know I love the Polonia Brothers, but it is The House That Screamed.
Yeah,
I love this movie. I don't know if either of you have watched it.
I've seen it.
You know.
I love it. It was a late to the game shot on video. It was what, 2000, I think.
Yeah.
Who a Dead Alive production? I didn't even remember that. But
we'll talk about that company. You know. Brain Damage, Dead Alive. You know.
House That Screamed. Like we said, love the Polonia Brothers. They were really the ones that, like, watching them really turned the tide for my love of shot on video. But that movie, the first time I rented it was from a Blockbuster. I didn't know it was shot on video. I just didn't know much about it. I was like, oh, this looks cool. And I was running a really high fever. I was really, really sick. And it might have been like a fever dream watching it, but like watching it, I actually got scared.
Yeah.
Which, watching it now, it's hilarious. Like, why was I scared of this? But like, I was really sick. And so it was hilarious to me. But that was the first movie I thought of that I was like, I have to talk about The House That Screamed.
Yeah.
So
also, real quick, I love that even in the shot on video sphere, there are tiers to how good shot on video movies look. There are really like good looking shot on video movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes down. You get your stuff like Polonia stuff is kind of rough, or Cannibal Camp Out. You got John McBride stuff. It's okay, but it's not as good as like studio shot on videos. And then you've got like the stuff like Todd Cook looking stuff where it's like a whole new level. Which I love Todd Cook stuff too, but like it's like that was like a whole different looking shot on video.
Oh yeah.
It's like, but yes, I mean, I just think it's funny how, like, even in the shot on video world, you have really good looking shot on video movies, and then you have stuff where it's like, they picked up the most basic camera.
Black Devil Doll or whatever.
Oh, Black Devil Doll for Hell.
Just over the shoulder,
Right. Tales from the Quad Dead Zone.
Which is everything that I was shooting, my stuff on.
Yeah.
It was all just over the shoulder, at home video camera.
Right.
I was so like, where are these cameras? Where you see stuff that's like SVHS and VHS-C and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The broadcast style shit.
It
was just like, it's the same thing, but it's, it looks professional, or it looks like the news.
Right. Yeah.
Stuff like Dibacue and
Yes.
So I've got my stack right here. I've split it up into a top 5, but I have one honorable mention because this is the movie that introduced me to 2 directors that we love. We talk about them pretty much every time we hang out. But so Splatter Farm.
Oh yeah. It's a goodie.
It's ridiculous. It's the first ever Polonia Brothers movie I saw.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's an honorable mention. I got then from there on is my 5 to my favorite. So then I got Redneck Zombies, of course, is
Yeah.
can't go wrong. This is the movie I was telling you about. It's more of like kind of like a drama, but it's really good. It's called Venus Flytrap. This movie rules.
Yeah, was that a Massacre video release? They re-released that? Okay. I've never watched it, but
then another Massacre video release. I love 555.
I do like that one too.
555. Now this one, I'm surprised no one's mentioned this one yet. This movie is insane. This has got to be the craziest SOV, I think. Burning Moon.
Oh yes, I mean that literally inspired the Warlock voice.
Yeah,
was that the trailer for the Burning Moon? Yeah,
this movie is it's insane. I mean, it's so crazy.
That I think over the top gore is like next level in that movie. Yeah, it's insane. I'm surprised I didn't think of that one to add to the list. So yeah.
And then of course my number one, without saying, is Sledgehammer, my signed copy by David Pryor. This is the original VHS that I used to master the DVD release. For
people who don't know, Clint owns the rights to Sledgehammer. And he's the reason why that movie is out on DVD in the first place.
Right. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, it was just a guy watching shot on video movies, and I liked this crappy slasher movie. And it really, had to do with Massacre Video putting out 555, that I was like inspired to like, oh, let me reach out about this movie that I like and see if I can get the rights to it. And when I talked to David Pryor, he like was not interested. He was making like actual movies, now. So he didn't really want to talk about it, but I kept bugging him like, listen, man, I like this movie. And so eventually he relented. I got the rights to it, ended up working with Severin, Intervision Pictures, Severin, to release it. And it came out and it was crazy. Like, it was reviewed in the Wall Street Journal, just maybe a year ago or something. Joe Bob had it on The Last Drive-In. So it was on Shudder for a while. It's on Tubi, I think. It's just like out there now. And to think it was because like I did it, is pretty cool. And it's so, and I know it's bad, but like it's endearing to me.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh man. And it's like the first ever slasher. And I love slasher movies. That's my favorite genre of horror movies. And it's the first ever shot on video slasher movie. Like, that's cool. To me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it will hold a special place in my heart forever. So that's easily my number one. Will always be my number one. I can watch it. I've seen that movie more than any human probably ever has.
More than anyone should ever watch that movie.
Talk about 30 and 40 somethings playing teenagers.
Right.
Yeah.
And then something, when I first met David A. Pryor, the guy who directed it, and I was asking him, like, why did you make it? Why'd you make Sledgehammer? And he just wanted to make a movie. That was what he told me. It's like, hey man, I just wanted to make a movie. So this is what I knew I could do in order to get it made. Horror movies were big. Slasher movies were big. I had access to this, they shot it on like broadcast cameras, studio cameras. So it does look nicer than like most SOV movies. But his thing was, I just wanted to make a movie, and he did it. And then he was able to make, 30 something other films because of this shot on video. It was his first and only shot on video movie. So it was cool. I love it. And this I don't even want to know how much this VHS would sell for. This, obviously I'd never sell it. It's priceless, but
Yeah.
Hold on to that.
Yes, Sledgehammer VHS sells for so much now. And back when I was first like looking up stuff to release it, it was pretty inexpensive.
Uh, so so for me, Redneck Zombies is up there. Um, I like video violence. I like Splatter Farm to a point.
Yeah.
I, you know, I don't take away anything that the Polonia brothers have done for shot on video, but ugh, yeah, I just
Yeah.
those movies are a struggle to get through.
Not a fan of feeders.
Yeah, I was just
No,
gonna say, are you a Feeders fan?
no.
I love that movie.
I mean, it's Polonias are great for me when I'm like with it if it is a group and we are laughing our asses off
Right.
Yeah.
at just how terrible it is. The acting. The I mean, is there a script? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Always
Like,
questionable. Yeah.
um, it's just it's a little rough, but I, they're some of the pioneers.
hmm
But so by 1991, I had started Low Budget Pictures, started making movies a little more seriously, as far as like writing scripts, really having schedules, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And by that time, I was certainly far more into um, watching as many shot on video stuff as I could. So um, through renting a 1990 copy of The Dead Next Door. Um, and it was electro video. It wasn't cinema home video. So um, discovering cinema home video through Fangoria was an eye opener because this was J.R. Bookwalter and Dave Dakota
hmm
Yeah.
Making these movies that appealed greatly to me. You know, um, and so they did that series of backyard films that Jr. did are very high on my list of movies that I rented and were inspired by for sure. Um, Definitely Zombie Cop.
Yeah. It's not the
You know,
Lance stuff.
I mean it's he hates that film, but the ingenuity and the creativity is just pretty rad in that movie. Um, but so as the 90s sort of went on, I and the more movies that I was making in like 91, 92, 93, I was sending my movies out to a lot of like low budget companies, um, thanks to the back of Fangoria's. And those companies, and this was, remember, this was like, there was no internet or anything. So it was all just letters and sending packages and, tapes and shit like that. And luckily, Todd Cook
Yeah.
and Ron Bonk and shit like that. Um, I was getting letters back from these guys, but they were also sending me their catalog. They were sending me like movies, like, oh, you sent me your movies. I'll check them out. Here's some of the movies that we put out. And
Yeah.
so that's when I first saw, Evil Night and Death Metal Zombies
Oh,
and
love Death Metal Zombies.
Vampires and Other Stereotypes and The Scare Game, Savage Harvest,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And um, Savage Harvest is a top tier shot on video for me. Um, Death Metal Zombies is a top tier for me.
Yeah.
Uh, Zombie Bloodbath
Yep.
Oh
is
yeah.
a huge top tier for me. Todd Sheets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Discovering the films of Todd Sheets was uh, a mind opener for sure.
Yeah.
Because Sheets, Todd's movies were almost 85% gore, and the rest
Yeah.
was, something else. Was maybe dialogue and character, but everything else was, you were bound to get at least 7 gut rippings. um, but again, so Sheets movies to me were what JR was doing with 16 millimeter, with 8 millimeter.
Yeah.
You know, the ambition that JR was doing with his film movies, and then later with the VHS, Todd Sheets was already doing that.
Yeah.
But with you know family video cameras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or school video cameras, AV video cameras. That he would use or whatever. Um, Todd Sheets and J.R. Bookwalter were basically making Romero films on no budgets.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know what I mean? Um, and so Zombie Bloodbath is fucking huge for me.
Right.
Huge. Um, so yeah, that's up there. And then when JR made Ozone,
Yeah.
I was sort of blown away, you know. And at this point, it's like 95, you know what I mean? 94, 95.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm already a few years into LBP and striving to make movies like these guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To still do the stupid shit I was doing, but to at least like make them look the way these movies were, you know, and still
Yeah.
on the no budget level. Ozone was a $5,000 fucking like, masterpiece of shot on video,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned. So Ozone is up there as well for me, you know.
And Ozone was everywhere when it came out. Like I remember that coming
Yeah.
out, and you could go into like any video store, and
I
I
mean,
remember Ozone was everywhere.
what was great was, Video Connection for sure, but as, as the 90s hit, man, you had things like Film Threat, and you had Catalog of Carnage, and you had Blackest Heart Media, and you
Yeah.
had alternative cinema, the Bee's Nest that JR was doing
Yeah.
before he sold it to Rasso and all that stuff, and which was a complete promotion for cinema home video,
Yeah.
and then later Tempe Entertainment. Like, holy shit, man, what a time, what a time! And for somebody like me, these were, this was Mecca. This was like
Right. Yeah.
these guys are gods. These guys are
Yeah.
like 80s heavy metal FX wizards, like
Right. Yeah.
KMD
Yeah.
and Savini and Steve Johnson. They were the fucking Screaming
Yeah.
Mad George. Uh, these these VHS guys were those guys now. They were
Yeah.
like fucking heavy metal rebels with video cameras. And I was like, I want to be in this pack, man. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this. So it was an amazing time. It really was. And thanks to Todd Cook, who saw something in my stupid ass shit, that early in '93,
Right.
and to say, "Hey, I want to put your stuff out in our catalog." It was just like, you got to be kidding me,
Yeah.
and that was really the first time anybody outside of like Wellsville, New York, saw any of our stuff. So it was cool. The very first time that I ever met any shot on video person was when we went to sell at the 1996 Fangoria show in New York City. And there was one rogue table, which was Kevin Lindenmuth, who was selling Vampires and Other Stereotypes. And so I could actually go up to him and be like, well, I have this movie, and I gave him all like my movies that and
Yeah.
everything, and I was like, you're a rock star to me, like it was so fun to pick his brain, and he was, he was so amazed that somebody like knew his movie, and shit like that. So yeah, that was a great time, you know.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't. It really sort of grew, from the '90s into the 2000s when DV hit. Then you had the DV filmmakers, like, I mean, just it was fertile ground for a lot of us, and then it got so good that anybody could do it, and then it sort of muddied the waters even more. So
Yeah.
it
Right.
was harder to pick out the good ones from the bad, good from the bad,
Yeah.
Right.
Um, but I'm, it's fucking awesome, and I'm glad it's still going.
Me too.
Meh.
And now we get things like Death O' Lantern, Happy Holidays, Barbecue, the
Yeah.
modern classics.
Mhm.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was. If people want to check out the documentary, it's called Zero Budget Heroes: The Legend of Chris Seaver and Low Budget Pictures. It goes through the history of me making films, and from being a little kid in the '80s to 2021, but it covers a lot of that SOV time, and it covers when we sort of shifted gears from low budget pictures into Warlock home video.
Yeah.
Um, and the whole reason Warlock existed was because I just wanted to go back and make fun backyard movies again.
Well, if nobody knows the story about how we met over at the same time I wanted to make shot on video stuff. We met at a convention. We were introduced to each other, and you were telling me about this, and I was like, yeah, about Warlock starting up, and I was like, dude, I've been wanting to make a shot on video movie. You said, well, come up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's how we met over basically shot on talking about love of shot on video and wanting to recreate and make our own.
Yeah.
And the big thing was to make it seem, we both wanted to make it seem like these were movies that could have been made in the 80s or early 90s,
I know,
It,
and
it,
it worked.
yeah.
It worked. So much so that people thought that they had seen the movies.
That
Right.
was always funny at conventions when people would be like, "Oh man, I remember renting this." No,
Yeah.
no, you didn't. That didn't happen. But
Yeah.
it was. I think a lot of credit goes to Jeffrey Sisson for that artwork.
100%.
He
Yeah.
nailed it on those cases, and
Yeah.
the movies really had the look too. Like it, I just wish I knew what happened to the Warlock.
No, he's coming back. He is coming back. He is slowly pulling himself out of the pile of VHS tapes. His dwelling. He is being called once again to introduce some films coming up. But
Yeah. Well, okay.
yeah, I mean, and that was it happened at a really great time for us with Warlock, because it was sort of the early um, hipster boom of people
Mhm.
getting into that stuff.
Yeah. The
And,
resurgence of VHS.
yeah, and not only VHS but shot on video.
Yeah.
And so it was prime time, and I remember we, it, it was you, it was Andrew, it was Sean and Alec, who were particularly super jazzed about what we were doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, and we did those 3 movies. As soon as we shut down LBP, we made a movie in summer of 2011, and then we made 3 more movies in the fall of 2011, and
Yeah.
and by October, Wasteland, me and Andrew were at Wasteland with Barbecue and um, Death O' Lantern, and we sold out.
Mm-hmm.
We sold out. Remember, Andrew, we were piggybacking on the original Jeff's table.
Hey man.
Hey,
Yeah.
man.
Hey man.
Yeah.
Um,
We definitely sold more than he did.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, we
that
did.
was
Oh, we were by Saturday afternoon. We had no more VHS.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely sold out.
and we had the Warlock, and we had VHS, and that's all we had.
Yeah, because wasn't it you, me, and Josh
Maybe
selling?
Josh, I
I
think.
think Josh was there. And yeah, we sold out. It
And
was
they were
wild.
gone. And then the next Wasteland, we had 2 tables. LBP had never even had a table. Had 2 tables. You know what I mean? We only had 1, but we came back and we had 2 tables full of Warlock product, and it was like, holy shit! It was invigorating, really, you know. And we had Andrew out there as the Warlock, just kind of like
What?
promoting and bringing and luring the people into the tables, and
Yeah.
you know, and that helped with the aesthetic of it. You know, the
Yeah.
the posters we had. It was pretty awesome, and
And yeah, that was that the same year we did the Kalamazoo Horror Fest?
it
Was it
2012.
2012 where you farted on Margot Kidder?
Yeah.
That will forever remain etched up here. That convention was something. But I had a lot of fun at that convention with you guys, the whole crew selling. I think out of anybody at that show, we were the only ones selling anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like we still did okay, if I remember right. Like it was, you know, product was selling
At that Kalamazoo one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I the thing I remember about it was going around as the Warlock and interviewing and talking to celebrities on camera, and I didn't know who I was talking to because I couldn't see. I had the cloak, and you would just carry me around and just be like, talk to this person. And I had no idea who I was talking to. I had to kind of figure it out. But that whole time period of Warlock was magical. That was a lot of fun.
I gotta say, I'm still chasing the high of that Death and Lantern shoot.
I know.
Yeah.
That Death and Lantern shoot was, I mean, it felt like we were in the 80s making a movie. We were in Wellsville.
Yeah.
We were all hanging out. We always dressed the part no matter where we went. It was magic. It really was like, man, these people are awesome, you know? Like, I just remember thinking, like, I need to be, like, so bad that it's good, that it's funny. So that's why my voice keeps changing in the movie and everything. And just to hear, like, people's reaction and, like, laughing, I was like, okay, yeah, this is terrible. It's totally working. Like,
yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, that was an absolute blast.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I agree. And I think that those movies were always so much fun to shoot because of that. Because they were just fuck it. It's Warlock, you know, the whole attitude of that.
That was our motto.
I love that. Those were fun.
And Stinky Beach, man, was like the fact that there was not zero care in the world. It was like, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to get it over with, and we're going to go party afterwards. But we're all like into it. We're all just making it as wacky as possible. Like, I'll watch it whenever, just put it on if I need to laugh, because it will never not make me laugh.
It was one of the dumbest scripts that I think I've ever written.
Yeah.
And I've written dumb scripts.
Yeah.
But this was just so dumb and so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun watch.
I think every one of those Warlock SOVs that we did are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even Diebecue, which was the first one that we did, which was I think we overdid it.
Well, we were kind of finding our footing with that,
right,
since it was the first one. And
we didn't quite get the groove of our own sort of
what
we wanted to present to the audience. So I think we overplayed it.
That's still it has a lot of scenes in it that still to this day make me laugh hysterically
100%.
hard.
Yeah,
100%. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The characters in those in Dive Q. There's 100%. There's
Well, like
scenes.
Rick and DJ
Oh man.
together.
Yeah.
Minty Dave and Dingleberries is a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, I know, and it's too bad you don't like Minty Dave, Chris.
I know, because that guy needs to come back. That guy was.
I don't think so.
I mean, I feel like if Skippy can make a comeback, Minty Dave can make a comeback.
Well, Skippy is a fucking beloved character.
So is Minty Dave.
By YouTube. Yeah, so I'm excited to get it cracking again. Warlock. I just sort of released a little slate of what's on the horizon, and outside one of those movies, it's all shot on video. So I'm excited to dust off the cameras.
Yeah.
Bring the Warlock out of his slumber, and to reintroduce the world to Warlock home video.
Yeah, I'll see if I can still do the Warlock voice. It's
I don't know.
And it will feel good to make stuff again where we don't have to set up lights. We don't have to if we flub a take, it's okay. It's Warlock,
And honestly, it's usually funnier that way.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little more into it. I've been saying that this next chapter of Warlock is going to be a lot more
a little nicer. They had a little bit of a.
It's going to be like the ozone of Warlock home video.
Yeah.
I mean, where it looks a little bit.
But we don't have to worry about focusing and focus pulling.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like a, whatever.
The most recent thing we did.
Yeah. Which was still fun.
Oh, yeah.
Still fun. And, it turned out great. But it ain't SOV Warlock,
Right.
So, and Radikill, folks. Oh, here, let me talk about this like real quick. Our buddy Sean King, who also loves this stuff, just shot a movie called Scream Walkers.
Yeah.
Which is entirely shot on video. He brought his cinematography expertise to analog, low rent, VHS-C.
Yeah.
And he put together a solid little, throwback to 90s horror. It's I don't like Scream at all. He does, so it's a throwback to that, but it's also a throwback to Stephen King's Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
Which I do love. But everything that I've seen from it is awesome. And so I'm excited for that to come out. It's another beautiful shot on video film hitting the fans for people to enjoy. And then this is like fresh news that really only like Andrew and Meredith know, but Radikill, which is a movie that I've been trying to fucking make for like 5 years, deciding to do it shot on video. We're going to shoot it in Kansas City, and we're shooting it with the producerial extreme entertainment behind it. So Todd Sheets, Amanda, his team are going to be making the movie with us out in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Andrew as Skippy, as John Juan Van Radikill. And it's an action horror film based on an idea from Clint and I. and that's exciting. It's so exciting that I'm trying to fucking get it made before like anything else.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd make it before Wellsville Nights, but I can't. And, But
So
anyway,
the good news is Chris sent me a bunch of ideas, and I'm going to finally have some time
I hope
to
so.
look at those ideas, and we can come up with the most crazy. I mean, this is a movie we have been talking about for
Yeah.
easily 5+ years.
Yeah.
We came up with the villain and the story, and just all
And
the
I had to
stuff.
ply Andrew with sweet treats to get him to play Skippy one more time.
Yeah.
One more time.
Yeah, so it's an action horror comedy, played straight, but it's a
Yeah.
comedy. It's a Chris Seaver movie, but it's action horror. It's gonna have gore. It's gonna have a rad killer. It's gonna have extreme entertainment behind it. It's gonna
Yeah.
be shot all on video. Yeah, I think it's gonna be super fun. And it's gonna be shot in fucking Kansas City, Missouri, where all those extreme entertainment films were shot.
Mhm. So you'll probably recognize a lot of the locales if you watch any of Todd Sheets' movies. You will
Yes.
recognize a lot of the shooting locales.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And he's just, I mean, really, it's I can get started as soon as Clint gives me the juice, and then we'll get going on it. And there's a very real possibility that this thing is going to be shooting now in October, in early October,
Mm.
as opposed to early November. So
Wonderful.
but yeah, Radikill.
I'll be here either way. So.
But shit, guys, what else do you guys want to say about the wonder that is shot on video before we leave?
I don't really have anything to throw on now. I want to save some for later. I will probably go through and maybe make a top 5. I didn't really do that today. I just kind of grabbed my favorite, but I'll probably do a top 5 before we gather again.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll pick out like a specific one or a specific
Mhm.
director or director duo.
Yeah, I think
that we like. But
there's lots of stuff to talk about. There's lots of directors and films that we'll sort of give a spotlight to and talk about.
or bring in the filmmakers and just talk to them about their career in SOV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there will be more to come, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was great. This is exactly what I want it to be. Just 3 knuckleheads talking about SOV, the shit we love. So
yeah.
I hope everyone else enjoyed it. If you're coming to this for the first time and you found this interesting enough to continue and keep watching, and you're like, what is this stuff? Like, we have titles here, guys. Like, go check them out. You can find some of them. You can find the full movies online. You can find the trailers. You can find these production companies and go seek them out. It's
Tubi actually has a load of stuff.
They do.
Of SOV stuff. So, I mean, if you want to just watch them for free, check out Tubi. And then, definitely, buy the Sledgehammer DVD afterwards.
Yeah.
They make great Easter basket stuffers.
Yeah. I mean, people are just, here, before we go, like, look at this. I just want to show this off. This book is pretty damn great.
Yeah.
It is exactly what it says there. And primarily it focuses on Bookwalter and Todd Sheets, Todd Cook. It's got some Kevin Lindenmuth in there. It's got some Eric Stanzi in there. but it's mostly those guys I just talked about, and it's a really awesome book, and it really goes in depth about these types of films and whatnot. I also just picked up.
Oh yeah, I need to get that.
Looks like it's got a butt ton of features,
Yeah.
and
Ah, yes, Moonchild.
Yeah.
Todd
I was
Sheets.
looking. I have the DVD. Oh, here it is. I finally found it. I've got the old one that I got from signed by Todd
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that movie rules.
I had a
Moonchild rules.
couple books sitting out as well. I had the
Oh, that's a great book. Yeah.
Bleeding Skull. This one
Yeah.
is fantastic, and I've read that one. I have not read this one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that I haven't.
Handheld Hell.
Yeah, I
I
wanna
just
read it.
got it recently, and I've been
Oh,
really
wow.
wanting to get through this one too,
That
but
looks stoic.
haven't had a lot of time to read. So that's on the to-do list.
I actually should put that on my wish list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get that one too.
But yeah, that's a good idea too, because we can actually we can go into some of the companies that are re-releasing this stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because they're popping up all over the place. One of them is a good friend of Clint's as well.
Yeah, my buddies at Terror Vision.
I
They're
have an order in coming in from some brain damage classics.
yeah. I'm sure my buddy Brad Henderson that works there would love to come on and also talk about his love of SOV and why he loves to acquire these films and put them out. And they're some of the best. TerraVision is one of the best doing it right now, and his sensibilities are very in line with the stuff that that we like. So
All right, folks, that's it. So thank you for watching the very first episode of SOV Vigilantes. So if you liked it, please check out this channel. There's so much content on this channel. Horror, filmmaking, 80s, silly shit. It's all there. Give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And do yourself a favor and check this stuff out. It's because it's pretty sweet. And it may just inspire you to pick up a camera and do it yourself. You never know. All right. So thank you guys. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this first episode, and we'll see you again.
All
see you
right.
guys later.
See ya.
Bye.